welcome to C.A.R.S. Today I would like to feature another one of my favorite topics, and that is how premium fuel will not help an engine unless it is designed to run on premium fuel. So I'm going to use a couple of example engines here. The first one is an engine that is designed to work at its best with premium fuel, and the second one is an engine that does not need premium fuel at all. If you had a car with this engine, the second engine, you would just be wasting your money to purchase premium fuel. It will do absolutely nothing for you as far as any kind of benefit. So let's start with the first engine. This is essentially a simulation or clone of the engine in the Mazda 2.5 liter turbo engine, current generation. And the interesting thing to note about this one is, just like the real-life Mazda engine, it can be run on either regular or premium, but that comes at a cost of horsepower and torque. Now, the specs are not exactly the same as the real-life Mazda 2.5 turbocharged engine, but it's close enough to give you a very close, similar idea of what this would look like on the torque and horsepower numbers and how octane affects an engine like this. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so the actual Mazda engine has 250 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. The simulation has 244.5 horsepower, 322.3 pound-feet. The RPM for the peak torque and the peak horsepower is very similar to this. But details aside, let's focus on the main topic at hand, and that is how the premium versus regular fuel, the octane, is really what this is coming down to, how that's going to make a difference. So if we look here, this particular engine, I have it set up with super unleaded. Now this shows 93 AKI, which is that American octane rating. And it shows me in this particular simulation that the engine requires at least 91 octane to be able to run without knocking. Now, if I go ahead and tell it, okay, well, I need to fuel up with regular fuel. Regular fuel would typically be around 87 octane here in the United States. The example provided in the game is 86, but pretty close. Now all of a sudden I'm getting these notices. This indicates engine knock, reducing power and lowering reliability. And here it says engine suggestions. The engine failed due to knock. Try lowering the compression and ignition timing. Well, when you actually have an engine that is switching between super or premium fuel and you go down to regular fuel, you're not normally, for most engines anyhow, there are a few exceptions where you can actually change compression for other scenarios, the variable compression, unusual engines. But standard engines, you can't change that, but what you can change is the ignition timing. So if we go here to our ignition timing and we change that from being at 67, which is fairly advanced in this game, and we reduce it down to 37, actually 36, now we see that the engine can do fine with 86 octane fuel. But guess what? We have lost some horsepower and torque. We are now down to 231.7 horsepower and 302.3 pound-feet of torque. Now, that is a very similar drop to what you would see in the real life Mazda engine I was referring to. So, yes, the engine can run on a lower octane fuel, but it has to bring back the timing. The term used is to retard that timing instead of advance the timing. So, you're giving up some power. It can run on it, the lower octane, but it really needs the higher octane fuel to get the maximum power, which would be at the advanced timing. So if we go back to 67 for the timing, let's go ahead and put in that high octane fuel, and there we are back to our power numbers. Here's a quick little demo of that engine, by the way. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the other engine. This one I designed to run on low octane, and this is just a naturally aspirated engine, very similar to what might be found in a typical modern economy car. All right, so when I look at this one, the octane that the engine needs is only 85.9, and look at this. This is with the timing all the way advanced, all the way to 100. That's maxed out for this game. So, in this example, look at the horsepower, 144.5, and look at the torque, 140.2. If I go to premium fuel, no change. Super, no change. Even this ultimate, almost like racing fuel, no change. The engine is going to be exactly the same for the horsepower and torque, regardless of what type of fuel you use, from regular all the way on up to this ultimate fuel. So you might as well save your money and go with the regular fuel. And just for fun and demonstration purposes, this is what this naturally aspirated 2-liter engine looks like. And sounds like, for that matter. All right, well, thank you all for joining me today for this video, and I hope it's encouraged some thought and hopefully some money saving when it comes to premium versus regular fuel. Best way to find out, check your owner's manual. That will tell you what your vehicle actually needs and has the option of. There are a few vehicles here and there that will work on either premium or regular fuel, depending on what kind of horsepower you're willing to give up. Other vehicles, all they need is regular, so you might as well just stick with regular because premium may do nothing for you other than take away some of your money. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And thanks again for joining me on C.A.R.S.